Oh, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Jack Unmasked. I am Jack. Want to give a quick shout out to Rachel and Christopher, a couple other people. I appreciate you. The donations through PayPal, and it helps. It really helps move this forward. Solo Sinner, one of the biggest supporters of this channel. That's not even really close. I appreciate you. I've had a lot on my mind. Today was a good day, but a lot of stuff's been running through my mind recently, and I wanted to touch base, try and get back on track. Been talking to Daniel again, which is always amazing. Megan and I go to Canada. We go out to Toronto in 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a day, 2 weeks and a couple days, something like that. Really looking forward to that. Megan and I have actually been having a great time. We've had, I got her this card that I actually bought on. I had bought 2 cards for our anniversary, and I decided to give her the one I gave her for our anniversary at the beginning of this month, at the beginning of April 8th, when we went to Palm Springs. I decided to give her the card that I decided to give her on our anniversary, and I just held on to the other one, and I ended up giving it to her the other night. And the one that I gave her the other night was just kind of letting her know that one of the things I really value about our relationship is the mundane things, maybe watching TV or cooking together, the little things that typically most people, myself included, take for granted and don't really take the time to appreciate. And I try to make it a point to let her know that, like, those are the times that kind of mean the most to me, not just when we go on vacation, or not just when there's some sort of milestone or big event that we get to celebrate. Obviously, those times are great. Staying in hotels or visiting family and doing all those things, those times are amazing. But it's the little things. It's the moments that tend to slip by. If she's reading on the couch and I'm just sitting there and she has her legs on me and I'm, looking at my phone or not, or, just sitting there while she's reading, or when we have tea, we just sit up in bed and have tea and chat. The other night we had a really nice night. We, walked over to Erewhon and she got some sushi and I got some, salmon, or, from the hot bar. They make their own food. And we just came back and just chatted for, hours, not about anything particular. I think we spoke about all sorts of things. We talked about our relationship. We talked about other people's relationships. I think we talked about Jesus a little bit, because we had gone to church on Easter. And on the ride in, and again, this is not a religious podcast or anything, but talk about what's going on. And on the way in, I asked her, because I know that she believes in God, she believes in a higher power and stuff. She was raised with religion, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, but she has this hang up on Jesus being whatever he is. He is whatever to different people, but that's not really the point. I just asked her on the ride in. I was like, "Hey, what are your hang-ups on the Jesus thing?" And so she told me, and we chatted about it. And there's no right or wrong answers. I just told her what I choose to believe, told her some things that I questioned, some things that I'm like pretty sure on my end that I believe, some things I'm not so sure about. And it was just a cool, interesting conversation. And the other night when we were chatting, we talked about that again. And we talked about things that we hope are true and things that would be nice if they were true, some things that maybe are hard to grasp. And it was just nice, it was just, and we didn't, I don't think we agreed on it. We don't agree on everything that we talk about. And that's a big thing that I'm very, very lucky with Daniel. When we talk about things, pretty often we disagree. Um, but we always, sometimes we agree. Sometimes we're both on the same page about things, but oftentimes we disagree. We were raised differently. He was raised with both parents, and he is very educated, and we just had very different paths in life. So our life experiences are very different. We do have a lot of similarities in our experiences, but because of that, we disagree on a lot of things. But we're able to share our perspective, and sometimes at the end of a conversation or a topic, one of us will have swayed the other way and been like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Actually, I believe that too. Turns out I just didn't know. I was misinformed. But a lot of the time it's like, yeah, I just don't buy that. I just don't buy into that. Or this is my experience with these things, so this is what I believe. And regardless of whatever the outcome is of that conversation, at the end of it, we're like, we're on different sides of the fence, but I love you. I love you anyway. And sometimes it's like, I love you because we disagree. And we hold true to what we believe. It's not like I would love him more if he agreed with me. It's actually kind of quite the opposite. Like, I love him because he stands true to his beliefs, regardless of what shenanigans I throw at him and what analogy I make to try and get him to see things from my perspective. He can take a peek through my lens and say, I see what you're saying, but it's dumb and it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it makes sense to me, but I love you regardless. And it's very easy for me, and I know that it's very easy for Daniel, to be completely honest, even when the other person doesn't want to hear whatever it may be, because it's contrary to what they want to hear. That doesn't change what we say to each other. It doesn't change our truth. We're not afraid to hurt each other's feelings, because I know that what he's saying has no intention of hurt or malice behind it. He's just being honest with me, which is what each of us knows that we want. And it's just always a pleasant experience, even when we argue about something, even when we disagree. It's always pleasant and a positive experience. And somehow, luckily, Megan and I have that as well. Sometimes we'll disagree, and we're not able to see the other person's perspective, and that's okay. And we love each other through that. We love each other anyway. But it's nice. It's nice when, in a lot of things, we agree on. And Megan and I were raised very differently, and it's just really, it's really nice and comforting, and it's a luxury that I feel not enough people have, to be able to sit across from someone or next to someone and honestly share your opinion, or my opinion. I'll stick to myself. I'll maybe be able to share my opinion or my values, or even just my thoughts on something, or how I'm feeling. And I'm not met with, you're an idiot, or I'm not met with, that's stupid. I'm not met with, how could you possibly believe that? Why do you feel that way when this is what I do to make sure you don't feel that way? None of that stuff happens. it's like, okay, that's how you're feeling. Let's explore that. Why are you feeling that way? I feel like I do these things, and I kind of, my expectations were they would make you feel this way. Why are you feeling that way? And then we can talk, and then it opens up this whole beautiful conversation of um, intention versus what's actually being received. And exploring those things for me helps me to understand, like, oh, when she, and I'm just, these aren't my, may or may not be real, it's just what is coming to my mind. Oh, when she's reaches over and scratches my back, I thought maybe she was just letting me know that she's there, when in reality she's actually like showing me affection and wanting to make me comfortable. She doesn't want me to just know that she's there. She's actually doing that to make me feel loved, or uh, maybe she's letting me know that she wants her back scratched, and that's why she's doing it, because maybe she's hoping that I'll reciprocate in the same way. And without me knowing that, I might just assume she didn't know what else to do with her hands, so she's scratching my back. And that's not, it's not a real example. It's just what I came up with. Might be horrible, but because sometimes if we're walking somewhere, I'll just, like, put my hand on the small of her back to let her know, like, hey, I'm here. I'm right behind you. You're safe, or and maybe she receives it as something else, something besides me just letting her know that I'm there. And being able to talk about those things is nice, because then when I tell her, oh, I do that for this reason, she'll know the next time I do that, it registers, oh, he's doing that because he let me know that this is why he's doing that. And it just clarifies things, like clarity. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the washing machine's going off. Clarity is so important, because the intent that I have behind doing something, my intention and the purpose of what I'm doing can get lost in translation without the clarity. This is another random example. When I was a little kid, I remember my grandfather, if we were walking somewhere, would like I don't know how to explain it. If he was walking with me, he wouldn't put his arm around me, or like hold my hand when I was like a real small boy, but he would like kind of guide me and let me know he was there, and let me know where I was supposed to go, or stay in a crosswalk or something. He would like just like lightly just guide me by the, like, he would just kind of guide me by the, like above my shoulders, kind of the back of my neck. And he would, if I had to go somewhere or get in a crosswalk, or like I was kind of getting away from him, because like affection, like, holding my hand, or he wasn't very vocal or like affectionate, but that was what he did. And I knew that, and like that told me, okay, he's there, and I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. And maybe I need to be guided in a certain direction. That's just what came to my mind. I never asked him, him and I never had a conversation of like, hey, why do you do that? But I find myself doing that with my son, because it was done with me. And it's like I don't know, it was almost a natural thing. My son is very quick to, like, give me his hand, and we will hold hands walking down the street and stuff. He's 6. But other times, if we're not holding hands and we're walking in a parking lot or something, my natural instinct isn't to be like, hey, give me your hand. My natural instinct, because when I was a kid it happened, is to, like, just like guide him by his like shoulders, and just like, I don't know, like he's a like Pinocchio or a marionette or something. It's just instilled in me that that's my first instinct. Um, but I wish maybe I would have spoke to Bumper about that and been like, hey, why do you do that? But I assume it's what I just said. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe that's what his dad or grandfather did when he was a kid, so he doesn't even know why. He just does it. But the clarity behind actions, or sometimes the clarity behind what I say is really vital to getting the other person's understanding of it, because I can say some things sometimes. Sometimes I have these ideas and these thoughts and these feelings, and I go to express them with my words, and it comes out completely not wrong, but it's just it's just not really receivable in the way that I'm trying to express the thought or the feeling. And sometimes it's like a small thing that doesn't really matter, but sometimes it's a big thing. Like recently, so in my past, dealing with depression or like sadness or certain things, and the stuff that everyone that's a part of my channel knows about. When I was younger, there were a lot of times when I was younger where I thought about harming myself, or through depression I thought about suicide and things like that. Never, like, not never, but not often did I dwell on those thoughts, but they were common thoughts, and it wouldn't worry me when a thought like that came into my mind. And so sometimes when life gets really stressful, or if I'm feeling really down, or things just really, I feel like I'm screwing things up, or things aren't going my way, sometimes those thoughts come by. Sometimes they fleeting thoughts. Sometimes they'll just slip in, and I'm like, ugh, and they'll slip out. And I mentioned it, which through text, which was not the best idea to talk about serious things, like heavy weighted things through text. And me and Megan and I were texting about something, and what I thought was just like a whatever throwaway comment. I think she had asked how I was doing, and I was like, recently thoughts of suicide have kind of been running through my head, and I continued, and that was the text, and then I like continued with another text that was kind of silly, and she was like, "Whoa, what? Like, don't just breeze by that." And then in my mind, I was like, "Oh shit! Like, did I say something like, and then I was like, oh, like, don't even worry about that. It's like something it's just a thought. I remember texting. I was like, I have thoughts about robbing banks. I have thoughts about, you know killing people. I have all these random weird thoughts. I didn't think it would, like, stop her in her tracks and be like, whoa, we need to talk about that. What do you mean? And I think it kind of ruined her day. I could tell by her responses got very short, and um, but it wasn't my, it wasn't my intention to like make her worry, or uh, make her feel bad for me. None of that was my intention, and I didn't even really mean to, like, bring it up. I just thought, I was just like, she asked how I was doing. I was like, well, yeah, this is something that's been running through my mind. But I don't really think my intention wasn't to put her on high alert that, like, she needs to watch me because I'm super depressed and my life sucks, and like none of that is true. But without clarity, because I just texted that and then continued texting about other things, and I didn't clarify, this was just a fleeting thought that I've had a million times in my life, that I just allow to pass by. I don't entertain it. I don't make plans around it. It was just this thing without, I didn't clarify any of it. And because I didn't, it didn't make her day better. It didn't make her time. She was at work. I think she was at work when I said, like, I was at work. No, she was home, but I was at work. It just didn't, you know, just wasn't really appropriate. And it wasn't very thoughtful of me to make a throwaway comment about something that's so serious. And, that was my bad. Once we were together, we got to talk about it, and I got to explain, my side of it, and I got to clarify what I actually was saying. And it's just so vitally important to make known what is actually trying to be given to another person. And I'm speaking for myself. Maybe other people are much better at saying what they actually mean, or um, maybe most other people can express themselves in a more concise way than I can. Sometimes it's very easy for me, but other times I find it very difficult. And in those times that I find it difficult, I just need to be better at pausing and thinking, is this actually what I'm trying to get across? Or is this going to leave all these open-ended um, questions? And I want to be better at that. All that is to say, the other night when Megan and I went and got food, and we sat here and chatted for a few hours, it was all clear. It was all very warm and easy and loving, and we talked about things that aren't easy. We talked about Israel. We talked about, and this is not, I'm not bringing these things up to get comments about it. I'm just talking about my experience recently. We talked about the president. We talked about we've been going to a fertility clinic. We talked about pregnancy and life and parenting, and the war, the Palestine stuff. Like, we talked about a lot of things that could lead to not great conversations, but because we love each other and we're careful with our words, and we don't bring each other down or tell each other that their idea or their position on something is wrong or stupid, it just is easy. And not all the time. I'm just talking about the other night. It was just such an amazing experience, and all we did was walk a few blocks to get food and walk back and eat together and chat. It wasn't, we watched the new episode of The Last of Us. It was just an everyday night, but it was spectacular. And I know that she feels the same way, because the next day she texted me. She was like, last night was great. And I was like, I was just thinking that. Last night was great. And we didn't even do anything, we didn't do anything special. But to be able to make the ordinary times extraordinary, I think is uncommon. And I want to try to do it more often. I want to be grateful and present. I always want to be, but it's just not possible. I just want to do it more often, and I want to appreciate her and my son and my friends and life. I just want to appreciate the life that I have more often, and I'm going to try to focus on that. And I really just, I just wanted to stop in and say hi to everyone and let you know that I really care about you, and I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so grateful for everyone that helps out by watching, by commenting, by liking these things. Obviously, anybody that's ever donated to this page, you're my hero. I appreciate you so much. This Sunday, Megan and her sister are going to the Beyonce concert. So Luis, who I've interviewed, is going to be here all day with me, which is amazing. And so I'm going to make another episode with him. Couldn't tell you what we're going to chat about, but it'll be great. Hopefully you guys like it. I'll see you again soon. And again, I love you. And please be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. Most of all, forgive yourself for something that you did. I know that it's difficult. I have a hard time forgiving myself for anything. Very easy for me to forgive other people. But when it comes to forgiving myself, it's difficult. But give yourself a break and just be kind to yourself and to everyone else. Hope you have a great night. I hope your day is wonderful, and I'll see you soon.